The darkness of the night slowly enveloped the old village road. The wind howled, rustling the branches of pine trees, echoing across the plain. The moon had disappeared behind the clouds, leaving nothing but pitch-black darkness and an eerie silence that made the night even more unsettling. Just the day before, a strange rumor had spread among the village elders. It was believed that there was something ominous near the old cemetery just outside the village. One of the villagers who had once lived nearby had mysteriously vanished without a trace. Since then, people started whispering about strange shadows and distant voices heard around the graveyard at night. No one dared to go near the cemetery, but one person refused to believe these tales. His curiosity and desire to defy fear led him to venture down the old village road that night. The closer he got to the end of the road, the colder the air became, and an unsettling feeling began gnawing at him, urging him to quicken his pace. As he approached, the stone walls of the cemetery emerged. Beyond the walls, shrouded in mist, stood a few dry trees among the tombstones. There was no sound of life, only the haunting silence, occasionally broken by the whispering wind. The gate of the cemetery was strangely ajar, almost as if inviting him in. Gathering his courage, he pushed the gate open and stepped inside. As he walked, the silence around him deepened. With every step, the crunch of dry leaves underfoot echoed unnervingly. The inscriptions on the tombstones were too faded to read in the dim light. It felt as though something was watching him. There was a heavy, eerie weight in the air, like an unseen presence was lurking behind the gravestones. Just as he thought of turning back, a deep whisper rose from the darkest corner of the cemetery. It was a disturbing murmur in a language unfamiliar to him. He couldn't understand the words, but the mere sound of it made his skin crawl. Something was moving in the shadows. Was it a person or just a trick of the light? Holding his breath, he stepped closer to the source of the sound. At last, he saw a gap between the tombstones. Right next to the gap was a freshly dug pit. Something seemed to be stirring at the bottom of the hole. His heart raced as he slowed his steps, his eyes locked on the pit. Just then, the deep whispers returned, but this time they were much closer. When he turned around, a figure was emerging from the shadows, moving toward him. It was a formless being, a creature made of darkness, with no face. He tried to back away, but his feet felt rooted to the ground. As the figure approached, the whispers echoed in his mind, no longer in his ears, but inside his head. "Your turn," it whispered. The last thing he remembered was the shadowy figure closing in on him. When his eyes shut, he realized something was waiting for him beneath the cold earth. His grave had already been prepared, and now he had become part of that cursed cemetery. No one in the village ever heard from him again. But on certain nights, those who passed by the cemetery claimed they could hear a deep whisper, "Your turn."